Hello, today's session, section 1, is about getting started with Access Microsoft Office 2013, which is what we use here at Coventry University. You can take Access as part of the ECDL Foundation qualification. This session is going to look at a very simple creation of a database called employees, and we're going to create a simple table and then some objects, a query, a form and a report from that table. Application access, I've got it on my taskbar here. We use 2013 version. If you're at the university, you would find it through the start menu and on the Office 2013, and then click there. If you're at home, obviously you'll have it on your local machine and you know where to get it. So you click on it and it'll come up with this, and we click on the blank desktop database. This brings up the option for us to name our database and then put it in the location we want it in and then create it. So we're going to call this employee. We're going to navigate. I'm going to put mine onto the desktop. You can put yours either onto your Documents H drive or your local C drive, depending on where you are. So we click on the browse and find the location, and I'm going to the desktop, and it's called employees, and that's the save as type, so everything's correct. Click on OK, and then once we've got that in place, we can then press create. So by default, the tables come up automatically, but this is only the start of it. We have to then go in and create our actual table, design the fields that are going to go there, and then we can put some information in. So we go straight onto the design view icon, and it clicks through. Asks us to save it, so we're going to save this table as staff, and then OK, and then it automatically takes us through to the design area. Now it's come up with an auto number automatically. I'm going to place employee, type employee in front of it, because I want my ID to be employee ID. Notice that it has a primary key right alongside of it, and there it is lit up there, which makes it a unique identifier. So auto number will automatically give each of my staff employees a number that identifies them individually, and it's a bit like your BCS number, where you have a unique number that no one else has, and that's how we identify you, your registration and your results, etc. So it's a unique identifier. The next fields we're going to create ourselves, and we're going to type these in, and they're going to be surname, and then you can tab or enter, and notice how it comes up with short text by default. That short text, you can see if I click in this field, it's highlighted that each of the fields that we create all have their own field properties. We won't go into details of this here, I'll do them later, but just notice that short text has 255 characters, it's quite a lot. So we just tab through, and then we're going to do our next field, which is forename, tab, keep it at short text, tab again, and date of birth. But this time obviously we've got a date, so we need to pick a different data type. So we drop down and we pick date and time. Tab through, we've got a start date, similar thing as previously, we need a date and time, and then an end date. Drop down again, and then our final one, comment, and we're going to use a short text data type for this. So we've created our field names, and we've got our correct data types that go with them. So if they're text, they've got short text, and if they're something else, then we've obviously picked the right data type for it. So if we go through back into the data sheet view, the front end, click straight on there, it will ask us to save automatically, so we do. And notice how those fields that we've just created going down are now going across individual units of a record. So these are the records broken down into fields that we talked about in the database principles, if you went along with me on that one. So if I go back in again, you can just literally click on there, it takes us into the design again, and then back through to data sheet view. So this is the area that we're going to put in some data, and I'm going to put in some different data. You can come along with me. And so the first one we have is surname Toman, and tab. Notice straight away how the employee ID auto number comes up for us. And then we've got Stephanie, tab or enter, doesn't really matter. Watch when you type in the date of birth, because if you don't use the forward slashes and do it like this, then it won't accept it. It comes up, it doesn't recognise it. So you must use a date format when you enter. So we do need to do the 24 forward slash, the 10 forward slash, and we can shorten it to a 79 instead of 1979, and when you enter it actually puts it in correctly. So then we've got a start date 12/12/2012, enter, no end date, and then there's no bonus. So notice when I do Brown as our second employee, the number 2 comes in the automatic ID to make them different and unique. And we've got Tom, and we've got 12/12/1994. And then we've got start date of 14/11/2013. Whoops, just watch. You don't miss your keys there, make sure it's correct. And then through, and then this person does have a bonus to enter. Down into again to the third one, Jones, Todd, 23/12, and it's a 91. Oops, and enter. And then we've got 17/06/2011, enter. And this person has a bonus. Now a little shortcut key here, if you want to use it, would be Control and the apostrophe, which is just above your Shift key on the right hand side of the board. It's got the @ on it, so hold Control, press that, and it will copy any field above it if it's the same and put it in automatically. So then we go on to Mohammed, Asif, oops, enter, and he has an 03/02/89, enter, and then he has a start date of 14/08 and 09. Doesn't have a bonus. Carry on through, and the final one is White Jane, 02/05/78. And then her start date is 03/03/89, and she does have a bonus, but we can't use a control key because there is nothing above. And that's our table done now. So now we can actually save it. Click on the save there, go into the back end and back through again. It's all saved and it appears here. So that's the table. Now we're going to go on and do a query from the table, and then go on to do a form and a report. So if you want to carry on and follow me, that's where we're going now. I'm just going to close this table, right click and close, and then we're going into do a query through the Create tab. Right, so now we're going to create our first object from our for our table, a query, and we're going to use a query design. So we're in the Create tab. We use table design for a table, query design for a query, and later we'll be using a form wizard and a report wizard. So we click on the query design and bring that grid up, and then drag this up, our show table up, so we can see it a bit better. And we're going to use our staff table, so we're going to click on the add to add it to the back of the grid here, and then close for closing the dialog box. We can drag this out if we want to see everything clearly, and we can move the grid up if we wish. So we're in the query area on that grid, and we're going to get these fields down onto the grid automatically in sequence. So we do that by double clicking. I'm going to leave the end date out because there's no information on that one, and I'm going to click on comment. And this query, what it's going to do is it wants to extract the employees who have had a bonus. So we've got all the information we need. If we look at the data sheet view, the front end, if you like, of our query, you can see that that's what I brought down with my fields, and I can see all of the staff, including those with and without a bonus. So what I'm going to try and do now is I'm going to try and extract those that have a bonus only. So back into design, A couple of things to look at. Along the grid you've got your fields, as we said, in the table they're from, so you can have more than one table, a query that has multiple tables and information taken from it. In the sort row, each of these have a drop down, so you can do sorts in these like that. This show row is a show and hide, display or not, so if I take out the tick of the employee ID and look at the front end, the employee ID field is not displaying, so then I go back in again and tick it off and then back in, and you can see that it's on there. And the criteria one is the one we're interested in. We need to come along it until we find our comment. So it's in our comment field that we've got records of having a bonus or not. So we type it in exactly as it is in the database, because remember, a query is only clever enough to extract the same information. So if you've got things recorded differently, you won't drag out all the information. So once you've typed in, make sure you use the enter key so that it fixes it. In this case, puts speech marks around it. In later demonstrations, we'll see how dates have hashes applied, etc. So we've done that now. We can run our query and look at a snapshot of our query. It's not saved yet. And you can see the snapshot shows us a query where we can see exactly which staff had a bonus. And then back in this end, and then to save it we use the save name box that we can use for our table as well. I click that up and then we can call this staff query and OK. And you can see now that it's appeared here. I can close it, right click and close, and if I wanted to open it at a later date I can do by double clicking. I'm going to close it again, and now we're going to move on to creating a form. Okay, so far in our simple database we've created a simple table, and then we've created an object query to extract to see which employees have had a bonus. So now we're going to create a form. So far we've used the table design for tables, query design for the queries, and we're going to use form wizard for this form. However, be aware that there is a different type of form object that we can use, and it's a simple form, but you must duplicate the table or query exactly as it is if you use this one. If you change anything at all, including its name, then you must use the form wizard. So we're going to change the name of the table we're going to create a form from, and so we're going to use the form wizard. So I'm going to click on there. Make sure that we pick the right object, the table, staff table here. The single chevron will take the fields over individually and back, and the double chevrons will take them all at once. So I'm going to take them all over, then click on the end date and take that one back, singular one, because I don't want to use it. It's got no data in it anyway. So when we've done that, we go, that's all the fields that we're going to use in our form. Then next, we pick the layout type. I'm quite happy with that. And next, and then I'm just going to add a form name to the end of staff and then finish. So you can see now that the form is there. It's also sitting here in the pane, the objects, and it has a navigation set of controls at the bottom here, one for a new record, last record, first record, and then singly click through. Remember the table that we created, if I just double click and open that, also has a navigation area, same idea, but this one, remember, you're seeing every bit of data on everyone, whereas a staff form you're actually seeing one individual record. So it's really good for user friendly displaying, etc., and protecting you from data protection and things like that. So that's our form. We didn't have to use the name box up here, the save, because it named it as part of the wizard. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to do a simple report in the Create tab using the report wizard. So I'm just going to close these down now, close our form, and right click and close our table in the Create tab, and I'm going to click on Report Wizard. So once again we have a little wizard dialog box coming up. We have to pick what we want. It's on the right one, it's on the staff table. Once again we can take everything over, but I don't want the end date. I'm going to take that one out, and we're going to compile a report using this wizard. So we click on Next. This time, however, we can group things in a report, so we can have things, all of these fields under a particular grouping. We're going to highlight the employee ID and click that over so it goes over in blue. So it's now going, all these fields will be grouped under that ID. And then Next. The layout, and here where we can sort things if we wish according to a particular field, but we're not going to use that. If we had a numerical field of some sort, we could actually, you'll see later when we do some demonstrations, that you can actually do some calculations within a report automatically as well using summary options. But we're just doing it simple for now. So Next. Quite happy with how it's laid out. Next. And then what we're going to do is just add report to the end and finish. So notice that this is slightly different to the other objects, than it shows it in print preview. And this is where we would find in the other applications our print layout stuff. So there's no print layout tab as such in Access. So it's in here that you would change. Now you can see that these are quite tight and they're obviously not wide enough, the gaps. You can see there's a little gap here, but it's hardly anything there. Hence that's the reason we see the hashes. Changing it to landscape won't change anything. We actually have to go into the back end as before and widen the field so that they've got a bit more room. So if I close the print preview, it takes us into the design area, and I can just pull this area out a little bit to give me a little bit more room. If I do move these, I need to make sure that I move their partners as well, because that's a heading and this one's data. So if I just go to the front end and show you those comments and what's happened. So back into report view, and you can see that I've moved them over, and that was the heading I moved, and that was the data. So I've got to widen these out so we can actually see what's going on there. So just as a little exercise, let's grab this over here, and this a little bit that way, and that's quite a lot of gap there. Drag them over, and we can drag them out. See how you get a four-sided arrow across, and then to move them, but then the little double-sided arrow to widen them out. Oops, quite tricky, but you can soon get used to it, and you can start manipulating them in any way you want. So try and make sure that they sort of line up. I'm just doing this very quickly, and we'll have a little look, and now you can start to see that you can actually see the data correctly. So that's our report done. It's great for printing as it is, handing out in a meeting, etc. And it's already saved because we did it as part of the wizard, and it's along here, so we can right click and we close it. It wants to save again because we did some changes to the design at the back end. And that's the end of our simple database with a table and some objects, a query, form and report coming from that data. And now we're going to move on to looking at the back end of an existing database. Thank you.